and welcome to Pots and Trowels with me, Martin Fish, and Jill.
Hi.
And today we're out and about. We haven't got Sean with us again. Poor Sean, he's sitting at home
hi, Sean.
mowing his lawn, and we're at the Southport Flower Show, which is in the sort of northwest of England, if you don't know where that is. And we're here because it's their 100th anniversary. The show started in 1924, and we're in the Grand Floral Marquee at the moment. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is, yes, and there are a lot of tributes to it being 100. There's a gorgeous sunflower display showing the numbers 100, and then there's a huge birthday cake as well, which is all decorated up for their 100th.
And there's amazing show gardens outside, and some of those have also celebrated the fact that it's 100 years old. So it's great that it's going, and the floral marquees are beautiful. It's early morning, the show isn't open, so the exhibitors are all just setting up all their plants and getting ready for a final.
They're standing round here in a bit of a huddle.
Good morning.
The morning chat. Morning.
Morning, all right, busy day?
Morning.
Yes, morning. All right, Richard, keep watering those hookeras.
All the time.
Oh yes, see that's Richard from Plant a Go-Go. We did a video with them.
We did,
a few
Vicky,
weeks ago.
yes.
Vicky, yes,
Yeah.
at the Tatton Flower Show, and then we've got Holden Clough Nursery here. This is a beautiful stand here, quite a big stand.
It is, and Holden Clough are quite local to Southport, aren't they? So,
They are.
So they've got a fantastic display here. Beautiful colours.
Absolutely, yeah. And they broke it into different sections as well, because they've got 5 beds with a central bed, so sort of formal layout, and they've done each bed in a different design. So we've got the English garden, that very traditional English garden.
So what sort of plants have they got in here then?
We've got lovely hydrangeas,
Yeah.
we've got veronicastrum, we've got verbenas, we've got nepetas and lobelias, so it's got lovely cottage garden feel to it. We'll take a few pickies, I think. Jill will do that.
Yeah.
Then we've got a Japanese themed garden here.
That's a gorgeous Acer in the middle there. What's that? Which Ace is that, Martin?
It looks like Acer palmatum dissectum. It's the
Okay.
one with the cut leaf.
Very
really
sort of feathery.
Absolutely, and it's got it's not a true Japanese. It's sort of a take on a Japanese
Yeah.
with ferns in there. So and still water and cobbles. Then moving around, we've got the meadow
garden. That's beautiful, isn't it? There's a little cobble path going through it, and then lots of grasses and sort of taller plants that are very much going to wave about in the breeze, aren't they? That's lovely.
They're not wild flowers, but it's giving that wild effect. So
What's the little pom-pom one? Is that
it's a little echinops, a little lobe thistle in there, and we've got some verbenas and agastache in there and fennel. So it's got that really feathery and the lovely stipe tenuissime and the ponytail grass. So that's looking really good. And then the last one is very traditional and it's beautiful. The cottage garden.
That's gorgeous, isn't it? So there's a traditional sort of bistro set in there, a lot of echinaceas, lobelias we've got in there as well.
Yeah, lovely
there's some really
roses.
tall planting at the back to sort of bring it all together.
Splash of colour.
Yeah.
It's beautiful,
Yeah.
isn't it? And we've got fuchsias, we've got cacti, we've got
Morning.
an amazing orchid display in here from Lawrence Hobbs.
Yeah.
Absolutely
We
brilliant.
need to chat to Lawrence on a video, don't we, at some point, because he's got his orchids there and they're absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
So we'll get the Pots and Trowels video for Lawrence.
We will, but we
Yeah.
want to catch up, don't we, with somebody special.
There's a
in
very
here.
important person in this area of the Floral Marquee standing behind a bench, so we need to go and find her. Now, we've found Pauline here wearing a gorgeous fluorescent jacket, so that must mean you're important, Pauline. And I'm looking at your badge and it says GFM Manager. So what does that stand for?
Grand Floral Marquee Manager.
Oh, brilliant. That's a very important job.
Well, it can be.
So do you have to keep all the exhibitors under control? Is that part of it?
Well, part of it is we start on the Sunday when the exhibitors are coming in, and my role really is to make sure they know where the stand is. Are they happy with the storage that I've provided for them, and give them a cup of tea when they arrive, make them welcome.
Crucial,
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
we didn't get a cup of tea.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we
No,
missed
well,
out on our
yeah.
cup of tea.
I know, I mustn't have seen you arrive.
Oh, Pauline, can we go backwards?
Yeah,
Can we still get one now?
Definitely,
Oh, good,
anytime,
good.
Yeah, there's a tea
anytime.
urn at the back of Pauline's
Oh
stand.
yes, we have. We've all mod cons. We've even got a fridge.
Oh, marvellous.
We've even got
it
a
is.
fridge.
But then you're here for the public as well, aren't you?
We're
during
here for the public
show?
and also make sure that health and safety wise that everything's secure, everybody's happy with the way that the marquee's marked out. We just patrol around making sure that there's nobody like with a dog on a long lead so that people don't fall over it. Things like that.
Yeah.
Lost persons, anything like that. We've only had one lost person this year, but that was a happy ending.
And
but
no fainters this year, because often at a hot show we've had one.
One lady passed out, but first aid were pretty quick. They're outside, and I always make sure that when I arrive, I do like almost a map of the floral marquees, so that I divide it into zones, so that if I have to send for a first aider, I can say where the incident is, so it's marked zone 1, 2 or 3.
You're very organised.
Well, it's quicker, because I mean minutes count, don't they? If somebody's collapsed, minutes count, and if they know it's somebody in zone 1, they go straight to zone 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
And you've been involved with the Southport Flower Show, haven't you, for quite a few years now?
16 years
I'm going to
now.
say, as long as more or less I've been coming, you've been involved.
Yeah,
yes.
16 years. Started off as just half a day or a day, and then I was working with Terry Tasker, who's been doing it 50 years. So then we just got on, and we've worked as a team, and I'm always classed as his show wife now. So
yeah, Martin's got a lot of show wives. Yeah,
I know I have. Yeah, all over the country. Yeah.
But you know, we just get on. It's a good team. And I've got a good team of other volunteers as well.
Yeah.
And they know what to do now, provide drinks for everybody during the show and just generally look after people.
And you know, it's the last day of the show today, but how has it been the last 3 days? What do you think the atmosphere's been like in the
I think
Floral
it's been
Marquee?
fantastic. I mean, the standard this year has been, well, it's been beautiful. Some of the stands are just amazing. But everybody seems to have been happy.
Yes. Yeah,
you know,
I
there's
agree.
a lovely atmosphere, but they call it the friendly show, so
Yeah.
it is. It's
you know,
lovely.
it's what you make it into.
And you're
really.
right, though, the standard of the exhibits and the variety as well. There's not a lot of the way of repeat. They're all very different, aren't they?
They are
We've
very
got
different,
pond
yeah.
plants, alpines, you know, cyclamen, fuchsias, beautiful perennials, agapanthus, just standing where we are.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
And people come in and it's just lovely to see their faces when they see the colour and, you know, they just love it. Yeah. The public love it, and we've not had any complaints. Well, only one, but that was...
Don't mention
no,
that one.
we don't need to know about that one. Now, we won't tell anybody, Pauline, but do you have a favourite in the Floral Marquee? Is there a particular stand that you're always drawn to?
Well, he's only been coming for 2 years. Leafy Lytham.
And that's Greg. And we chatted to Greg on a podcast a few weeks ago.
It's just amazing, the colour. It really is.
Yeah,
but
and he's a local lad as well, isn't he?
He's local, yeah. And then the ponds, that's new this year.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Yeah. That really is
and again,
fantastic.
I think we've done a video with them, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes, if anybody wants to see Lincolnshire pond plants, look at one of our Pots Trowels videos on YouTube.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it? Oh, well done. Oh, do you watch them?
Yeah.
Well done,
Of course I
correct
do,
answer.
yeah.
Have you subscribed to the channel?
Yes.
Oh,
good.
marvellous. Tell all your friends. Could we not have a banner up above your little station?
Yeah.
here?
Well, I mean, like Ruel and Fuchsias. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's fantastic, isn't it?
We've done a video.
And
We've done a video with them as well.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a family, and it's lovely to see the kids coming up as well.
And that's the thing, we were talking about this yesterday when we had some of the growers on the stage. It's important that shows like this, all these independent and all the flower shows continue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Without them, these are specialist family nurseries, often in their second, third, fourth generations, aren't they? And they are specialists in what they grow, and if they disappear, there'll be such a wide range of plants that aren't available to the public. Because a lot of these things you can't get at garden centres.
Oh no, and besides that, if you come into the show, you're talking to people, you're getting information how to grow their plant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you go in a garden centre, it's a generalised, and you're not guaranteed to know everything.
Yeah.
But here you can speak to somebody.
And you are a bit of a keen gardener yourself, aren't you, Pauline?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
So what's your garden like? Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it's about 100, my home garden's 140 foot long by 40 wide.
Right.
Big plant.
I've got a little wildlife pond, perennial borders, greenhouse, polytunnel, 3 fruit cages.
Oh.
It just goes. I'm a seedaholic, I'm afraid.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm always being told you don't really need that, but well, I do. I must have about. Well, I've got 3 cases, the photo cases with the compartments in.
Oh, wow.
3 of those full of seed.
Oh, so
So
you're very
I'm
organised
quite
with
sad,
it.
really.
Well, yeah, but you never know when you need it, do you? That's the thing. Because you like to travel as well. So
I
do
do,
you bring
yeah.
seed back from your travels?
Yes,
Martin.
when
No,
you
you're allowed
shouldn't.
to do. You can bring seed. I think that's
Careful.
Certainly in England you can.
Well, in England you
in
can.
England,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, if I can't go past a garden centre, I can't go past a nursery. No.
I think you can bring seed from abroad. I'm sure you can.
Europe, I think.
Not
Europe,
all,
yes,
not all
exactly.
countries, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just put a bit of a rider on that one, Martin, before you
okay.
get arrested by
Right,
the seed
okay.
police.
And you've also got allotment. Have you got an allotment
Yeah,
as well?
it's classed as a half plot. We waited 9 years for that.
Oh, wow.
And then I think it was 4 years ago, we got it 5 years ago. But I tend to grow things there that I don't need immediately.
Yeah.
Good idea.
At home I grow my salads and my
Yeah.
tomatoes and things like that, but
Things
at
you want
home
to pick a few and
something
take
like
straight
beetroot
in.
and things like that, and
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I love it, and it's a nice community at the allotment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You make friends, and we have little get-togethers and gin tasting and things like that.
Very
so
nice.
It's not all work.
It's not all work.
And
Give us the address of that later and we'll pop and see you.
is the allotment far from home as well?
It's 3 miles.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not too bad.
So when you go down, you normally go for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh
to
yeah,
make it worthwhile.
yeah. I mean, yeah. You go for an hour, don't you? And you're there all day.
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
You know, me,
Yeah.
you'll find something else to do. Yeah.
So how about your onions? Now apparently you've been having a bit of a problem with your onions.
White
Pauline.
rot.
Okay.
I never seem to be able to grow onions and get a good crop.
Is this a regular thing? So it's every year?
Yeah. I mean, I think it probably because on the allotment, previous people have had white rot, and you don't know, do you? When you take over a plot, you don't know what you're going to get, really.
No, exactly. And white rot it's a fungal disease that's in the soil, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it will stay there for up to 20 years. Even without onions growing, it can lie dormant.
outlive me
and
then.
And the problem is it's easily transmitted around.
Yeah.
So if somebody walks on a plot that's infected with white rot fungus, and then they walk onto a healthy plot that's not, the soil on their shoes will carry it across.
Yeah.
So it is a problem on allotments, I'm afraid. Not easy to get rid of. You've been given one little tip, haven't you, by Robinsons, who we've done a video with.
We've done a video.
Yeah, I was speaking to them yesterday, and they said it could be, what was it called? There's onion rot, and there's another one, something. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it's a similar type of rot. But she said, when you're harvesting the onions, chop the green tops off, leave those on the ground, let it rot for about a month, and then just gather it all up, and apparently the spores then go into the leaves.
Yes.
And it reduces it.
Okay. So if you do that
Regularly.
Yeah, and then lime it.
Yeah.
And then she said put lime. Make sure you lime it after that.
What's the lime
because
do?
lots of these soil fungus like acid conditions. So if you put lime on, it makes it alkaline. So you do a similar thing with club root. Another one that's been talked about while we've been here is to use garlic powder.
Yeah.
I think you were part of that conversation.
A chap on the allotment next but one to us had terrible white rot, and he got a large container of garlic powder, and he literally sprinkled it on every bed that he's got. And I mean, the whole allotment stunk of garlic. You could smell it as you walked in.
Yeah.
But he's grown the most beautiful onions this year.
Well, I think the theory behind that, the science behind it, as far as I am aware, is that because the spores lie dormant for years, but when you grow any member of the onion family, every part of the onion has the oniony smell in it, and that's what attracts them to it.
Yeah.
So they'll be attracted to the garlic powder, but when they actually infect the garlic powder, there's nothing to feed on.
Left,
so those spores then die because they've been reactivated, as it were. So I suppose, in theory, it's a good idea.
I might try the double whammy this year.
could do,
garlic
yeah,
powder
'cause-
and chop the onion greens.
That's right.
Well, if we come back next year, Pauline, we'll ask you how you got on with your onions.
Yeah, well, it depends whether you'll invite us back next year, Pauline.
Definitely.
Can we come
and
back?
we'll bring a brew as well.
Oh, marvellous.
you're
It's
on.
getting better by the minute.
And have you got any biscuits as well? We quite like
Oh
a
yeah,
chocolate
we have
digestive.
biscuits. Yeah. And I've got a recipe for rhubarb cake off one of the one of the exhibitors. So we'll have a
There
go
you
at
go.
that. Yeah.
Right, well, we'll be back next year
Right,
then.
okay then.
See ya.
Thanks, Pauline.
You're welcome.
Well, we're back now in the potting shed area because we brought our trusty potting shed to the show, where over the last few days we've been giving talks and demonstrations and answering lots and lots of gardening questions.
We have, yes. We've even had Adam Frost and George and Carol from the Beech Grove Garden on the potting shed stage this time, haven't we? Which is great fun. In fact, we had loads of questions which they answered, and Adam Frost actually gave us his tried and trusted way of getting his knees clean in his trousers. Well, his trouser knees clean, should I say. What was his tip that he gave you, Martin?
It was all about giving me a lesson in how to use a washing machine.
I think it
wasn't
was,
And he said do it on a 30-degree wash, pre-soak, but he also was putting something on his knees to start with. And
I bet you'd never heard of it, had you?
No, what was it?
Well, I don't know if we're allowed to advertise. I bet it was some Vanish anyway,
right,
so he said
okay.
put that underneath. But do you know where that is in our cupboard, Martin?
I know where the washing machine is. Yes,
that's a start. I need to give you some lessons then, don't I?
I think I know where it is. It's under the cupboard somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know where you put it in the washing
Well,
machine.
moving swiftly on then, we have had a couple of questions from you, the listeners, and something that somebody asked about one of our videos that we did. So I haven't got a name, but his YouTube name is @Stepladder, which is a great name, and he'd been watching the watering can maintenance video that we did a little while ago now, but it was one of our winter ones, wasn't it? So he has a metal watering can, but the rose is stuck, so he can't take it off to clean it, but it is blocked, so he doesn't know if it's rust or lime scale or just something blocking it. Any tips on what to do? But I think he wants to be able to take the rose bit off.
Yeah, and that can happen on the metal ones, the galvanised ones. That I think the sort of the ferrule, the end of the spout, which is often brass, depending on what type of watering can it is, can sort of have a bit of a chemical reaction with calcium, lime in the water, or if you've had any liquid feed going through the watering can. And if you don't take them off, they do get stuck. You can usually get them off, to be fair, Stepladder. I mean, you've got to be a bit careful because you don't want to damage the rose. So I would just try gently tapping it. Get not necessarily a hammer, but like a piece of wood, and just gently tap around the end of the watering can.
Could you do that with a wooden mallet rather than a hammer? I don't want him to dent his
Yeah, well, also
can.
a piece of wood would do it as well.
Yeah.
So that would hopefully let it dry out. That's the thing, because tap, 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 and then try and give it a gentle twist. If that doesn't work, what you could do is maybe if you've got a little blowtorch, which is not something everybody's got, but you could just not get it too hot, but just warm it up a little bit, because sometimes that expansion can help it by just sort of breaking the seal. So you warm it up just for 30 seconds, less than that maybe, let it cool down, and then put a pair of gloves on and give it a twist.
Could you hold
gently.
it over a hob in the kitchen?
You maybe could do.
Yeah. Not everyone's got a blowtorch.
No, they haven't, that's true. But you could try that, getting it warm and cold technique. Otherwise, it might be worth, if you've got some penetrating oil or WD-40, just squirt a little bit of that down. And again, that can sometimes just break that seal, and again with gently twisting. So I think you'll do it. I've had it happen to me before, and you can normally work them free. Bear in mind, if you do use some oil on it, you need to make sure you clean that off thoroughly before you put it on. And what I do occasionally is, once I've taken the roses off, is just get a bit of fine sandpaper and actually rub inside the whole of the watering can rose, and on the end of the spout, just give that a rub so it's nice and shiny, so that the two will slide together next time you join them.
Okay, and then the blockages on the rose.
Well, then you can get a little bit of wire and just poke those holes through and flush it through under a tap.
That's going to be on the video, isn't it? So,
I would imagine it is. I can't remember.
Re-watch the video.
I'll have to watch it.
Okay, and then we've also had a question from Sally, who lives in Wakefield in West Yorkshire, and Sally sent you some pictures, haven't she, which you've had a good look at. But they had a shrub called salmonberry, which looks very much like a raspberry. Very pretty in the spring with pink flowers, but it was spreading year on year, so they decided it was time to go because it was a bit too much of a thug. They've found a few shoots in the area coming through now and again, so I'm presuming that they get rid of those as soon as they see them. They've also had several varieties of raspberry around the garden, and they've spread as well. Every time she sees something that looks like a raspberry, she's a bit concerned it's one of the rogue bits of salmonberry. So she sent you some photos of an area that she planted with raspberries. She can't remember the variety, and she says the area is now full of what she hopes are raspberries, but apart from one or two canes this year, they haven't produced any fruit, and I'm starting to worry that they're not actually the raspberries. They continue to spread, and she's noticed some suckers in the lawn nearby as well.
Okay, well, I've never grown salmonberry, but the salmonberry is a sort of a suckering shrub. It is related to raspberries. It's one of the rubus family, as you say, little pink flowers, and then they've got tiny, small, like little miniature red raspberries on them. It's quite an invasive plant, that one is. In fact, I think it is on sort of the list now of invasive plants, so it's not one that is advised to be planted. So you've probably done the right thing, Sally, getting rid of it. And as you say, you might still get the odd ones poking up from where it was planted, so just get rid of those. The photographs that you've sent to me look like raspberries, so I'm fairly sure they are. They look very strong growing, very lush, and the fact that some of them have thorns on and some of them don't, I wouldn't
very
worry.
Important truck just arrived with all the trophies to give out to the exhibitors.
Oh, right,
That's
yes.
that whining noise, if you can hear that.
But yes, some varieties do tend to be thorny, some seem to be smooth, so you've probably got a mixture on there, but they look very healthy and lush. The fact that you've not got fruit on is slightly worrying, because I'm wondering if you're pruning them wrong, because we don't know whether these are summer fruiting raspberries or autumn fruiting raspberries. If they're autumn fruiting raspberries and you're not starting to get fruit on now, and here we are sort of August time, late August, when we're recording this, then you should be seeing signs of fruit. So if that isn't the case, that would to me indicate they are summer fruiting raspberries which flower on the previous season's growth. So in other words, the growth they're making this year should produce flowers and fruit next June, July time. So I would not do any pruning with them. I wouldn't prune them down in the winter like you would do with a autumn flowering type. I would just leave them, see what happens next year. If you don't get any fruit next summer, then you've got something wrong with them, and I'd be thinking of doing something else. But at the moment they look healthy. You do get suckers, they will sucker as well. We used to have them in our old garden, and they would cross a path and sucker it from into the vegetable garden. So that's what they do. They spread by these underground roots.
So the salmonberry just keep on top of any ones that...
Absolutely, yeah. But, and just, a little bit of potash, sulphate of potash around your raspberry canes will help to ripen the wood. But I think because they're not fruiting now, they are summer flowering ones, so don't prune them this winter.
Okay, well, it's getting a bit noisy in the Floral Marquee now because it's getting ready for opening time for the show. In fact, I think it might even be opening now.
It will be opening in a few minutes.
Members of the public in, so we really need to get ourselves sorted out on the potting shed stage. But there's somebody working behind the scenes on the potting shed stage today, isn't there? So should we go and see if we can find Linda?
We'll have a chat with them, but also if you've got a question for a future episode of the podcast, just drop us an email. It's info@potsandtrowels.com. Send us pictures, send us your question, and we'll answer those on a future episode.
Okay, let's go and see if we can find Linda.
Right, well, we're going to have a wander round the back of the potting shed into the preparation area. I'm going to have a quick chat with Linda Hardman, who's going to be doing our floristry demonstrations today.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
So we're fine, thanks. So this is your little inner sanctum just here, isn't it, where you're preparing all your beautiful flowers?
Yeah, I'm just cutting down some of this Griselinia and just making sure I don't cut your microphone cord at the same time.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just getting my flowers ready that have been conditioning overnight, just giving them a little bit of an extra trim so they're ready
conditioning,
to put
tell
my
us what
boxes.
that is for people that don't know.
That's just to make sure that my flowers are really well hydrated, and just taking off any leaves that are a little bit damaged and cutting the stems so they're ready to go into my mechanics when I'm creating my arrangements.
So what do you mean by mechanics? Because I'm not a flower
You're
arranger.
not a flower arranger?
So what does that mechanics to me means under a car engine?
What I'm going to put my plant material into, which may be chicken wire, maybe floral foam, maybe the test tubes that I've put in place in my accessories as well. So basically it's a water holding material that's going to keep my flowers fresh and hydrated and looking beautiful for as long as possible.
Well, you've done some fantastic arrangements, haven't you? Because you were on stage yesterday and did a couple, and you've got sort of more gorgeous looking flowers for us today. So what's going to be the star of the show today?
Ooh, I still think the Gloriosa Rothschild's red. It's a Gloriosa lily. It's quite unusual. It doesn't look like your sort of traditional lily, and it's a little bit different to use. That's something different. I've got beautiful flowers from the farm, which are all locally grown, and really on trend. People are using them a lot more at the moment as well. So, and I've been casting my eye around all the growers and people that have brought the flowers today, and some stunning exhibits. It's fabulous.
I know we've got to import flowers to get these exotic blooms, but to use the homegrown British ones, it's got to be good for air miles and everything, hasn't it?
Well, to be truthful, I think there's room for everything. And depending on the job that florists are doing, quite often some of the flowers do need to be imported, just for sheer quantities of them.
Yeah, and we can't get the British ones in the winter, can we?
We can't get the British ones in the winter. And if I'm doing a job that requires 300 hydrangeas all at once, or 500 of a specific coloured rose, for example. Sometimes, yes, we do import those, and we use the wholesalers that are based in this country to bring them through. And a lot of the flowers that are flown in are coming as cargo anyway on planes that are already coming over. But I really do think there's room for everything that we can use, and the flower industry has so many ideas and wants to bring the general public on board with buying flowers, having the joy of having flowers and plants in their homes as well. And that's one of the beauties about being a florist.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that's been good watching you over the last day or so. We had Julie Pearson the day before, because you do something just a little bit different to give people ideas and inspiration. I mean, you've got a marrow that you're going to use today.
There's a drill standing next to it. So, normally the marrow's my department in the cookery.
I'm going to hand it over to you afterwards, after I've used it. No, the marrows and the pineapples, which really readily available at the moment, make great containers just with a hole drilled out of them, with a test tube put in, and then the little lid for the test tube holds your flowers in place, and you've created a very quick table arrangement that's very, very cost effective. And I've got in the marrow, I've got some anthuriums to go in it, which are quite spectacular. So you don't need huge amounts of them to go, oh wow, that's lovely. And
such a clever idea.
The marrow goes along with the birch log that I've got, which is big. It's about 3 foot long, and that's again done the same way, drilled with holes. But that one I've done more of a country garden style and used the flowers from the palm, the beautiful delphiniums, anthuriums, dill, roses, and various herbs that we've put in, which takes us back to your department again.
But I think using the marrow, we're coming up to the harvest festival season, so anybody wanting to do something for a harvest festival, marrows are a brilliant way of doing it.
Really, it's just a move on from the pumpkins. In the shop, we use a huge amount of pumpkins just carved out and flowers placed in them or on the top of them. And again, probably we use a jar inside the pumpkin with some flowers in, or oasis foam on the top as well. There's both ways of doing it.
And I know you're here doing these wonderful arrangements today, but you are, day by day, you've got a florist shop, haven't you?
Yes, we do. My husband Jim and I have run the flower shop in Clitheroe now for the last 30 years almost. It's our birthday. It's our birthday next year. So we are having a party. Everybody's invited. I just don't know when it is yet.
Exactly. We'll watch this space.
Absolutely, yes. Right, well, we'll let you carry on doing your prep with all your lovely flowers. It's a bit blustery around the back here, but I think everything's protected. So, see, you've got some lovely orchids to go in as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there was a fabulous orchid talk yesterday, which made me feel a bit, because I didn't actually know the name of that orchid. I thought, I'm going to go and have to find somebody and ask.
Okay, lovely. Right, well, we'll let you carry on, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the stage in a bit.
Thank you so much,
Linda. Thank you very much. So there we go, that's Linda there getting ready for these wonderful arrangements, and I think that's it. We're just about out of time.
I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions for future episodes, then don't forget you can send them to us on info@potsandtrowels.com, or anything you want us to mention or talk about, just get in touch with us.
But we are taking a bit of a break from the podcast, aren't we? We just think we maybe need a little holiday. So and Sean perhaps needs a little holiday as well, don't you, Sean, if you're listening at the other end. So we are going to have a couple of weeks off, but I think Sean's magically put together some of our not our greatest moments.
Oh no, not all the mistakes. People think it's perfect.
I know. No, well, of course it usually is, but we have the odd blooper. So if you did want a little quick fix of Pots and Trowels, then listen out next week, and Sean will be putting out our best bloopers. Oh dear,
absolutely.
I've not heard that yet.
No, I haven't. No, I'm dreading that. But we will be back, as Jill says, in a few weeks with lots more jobs, your questions, and lots of guests to talk to. So look out for the next season of Pots and Trowels. But for now, bye.
Bye.
Watch the videos on YouTube or Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter or X, and subscribe to the podcast and never miss a thing. For more information, go to potsandtrowels.com.